Welcome. We've been asked to help clarify the cloudy concept of an existing lawful use, or ELU, when it comes to the authorized use of water. So in this video we provide as much clarity as we can, but constrained by the wording of the National Water Act. In our second video, that is part 2 for patrons, we interview a former employee of the Department of Water Affairs and Forestry, a gentleman with a wealth of experiential insight into the authorization of Section 21 water uses, to provide clarity on so many of those unknowns or unanswered questions. Welcome. My name is Sean McGregor of Ecolegus Environmental Consultants based in Mpumalanga, South Africa, and we're on a mission to empower all South Africans to protect their environment through the correct interpretation and application of our environmental legislation. So if you want to learn how our environmental law applies to you, how to avoid costly and unnecessary mistakes, if you want to increase your knowledge and skills to reduce your reliance on external consultants, if you are in need of mentorship, or you want to earn CPD points for a professional registration, then you'll want to subscribe to this channel. You can do that by clicking or swiping your mouse over the icon to the bottom right hand side of the screen. Don't forget to click on the bell notification icon so that you can be notified the moment we upload a new video. And if you do believe in the message and want to help us spread it, please like the videos. Thank you. The title of this video is An Explanation of Existing Lawful Use. Our source of information is mostly Part 3 of the National Water Act, Act 36 of 1998, but we've also referred to the Water Use Registration Regulations published in Government Notice 1352 on the 12th of November 1999. So I'll include a link to those pieces of legislation in the description below. But first, I want to give you some background. South Africa is a water-scarce country that has promised its growing population sufficient water. That promise is entrenched into our constitution as a constitutional right. When coupled with our other constitutional right to have the environment protected for the benefit of that growing population, that is, future generations, through the ecologically sustainable use of our natural resources, such as water, one can begin to appreciate how much of a difficult task or legislative mandate the Department of Water and Sanitation has. That is, to support economic development and social well-being through effective water supply and sanitation, but while simultaneously supporting water resource protection through the maintenance of environmental flows, also known as the ecological reserve. So while the government is legally mandated to ensure sufficient water for its people, it is also legally mandated to set aside or reserve sufficient water for the maintenance of ecological functions, so that the long-term sustainability of our aquatic and associated ecosystems is not compromised. And that is why the use of water has to be controlled or regulated by legislation. A person is only entitled to use water if it is permissible under the Act. Now, there are 11 different kinds of water uses defined in Section 21 of the Act, ranging from the taking of water or abstraction and storage to using water for recreational purposes. And there are 11 different kinds of legal water use entitlements or authorizations. So the Section 21 water uses are only permissible if 1. It is listed under Schedule 1 of the Act, 2. in terms of a general authorization, 3. as the continuation of an existing lawful use, or 4. under a water use license. So let's get started with the topic of this video and explain what an existing lawful use is. Before the National Water Act was promulgated in 1998, water use was governed by the Water Act, Act number 54 of 1956. So any water use undertaken during a period of 2 years prior to the National Water Act coming into force, basically from the 1st of October 1996, and which was authorized under a previous legislation such as the Water Act, or is a stream flow reduction activity as contemplated in Section 36(1) of the Act. Stream flow reduction activities are basically commercial plantations, or is a controlled activity contemplated in terms of Section 37(1) of the Act. An example of a controlled activity would be irrigating a lawn or pasture with water containing waste. Then those water uses are deemed to be an existing lawful use in terms of the National Water Act. However, there's a catch. An existing lawful use is not an automatic entitlement. Any water user using water at the time of this transition, that is from the 1st of October 1996, had to eventually register their water use. Now there are some exemptions, 3 to be exact, from the registration of water use, including any water use listed in Schedule 1 of the Act, where registration is not required in terms of a general authorization, or where a person obtains water from a bulk water supplier, a water management institution, or a communal scheme. Now in Mpumalanga, where we are, water users were called upon or requested to register their water use over 20 years ago by means of Government Notice 536 on the 2nd of June 2000. After having read the notice, it's unclear whether all Section 21 water uses had to be registered or just Section 21A, B and D. D refers to engaging in a stream flow reduction activity or commercial plantations. It's also interesting to note that the scheduled water use by members of an irrigation board or water user association were exempt because those boards or associations are recognized or registered as bulk water suppliers. Official registration forms had to be completed and then submitted to the regional office of the Department of Water and Sanitation. Back then it was called the Department of Water Affairs and Forestry, or DWAF. If those forms were completed to the satisfaction of the responsible authority, that water use was then entered onto their database called WARMS. WARMS stands for Water Authorization and Resource Management System. The water user was then issued with a registration certificate. Now it's important to stress that the registration certificate is not an entitlement to use water. The responsible authority still has to validate, that is, confirm the volume or abstraction rates and verify the lawfulness of the relevant water use before officially declaring the continuation of an existing lawful use on a form that confirms the responsible authority's determined water use or water uses. Having said that, it is my understanding that an existing lawful water use can still continue until such time as the responsible authority calls upon that person claiming an entitlement to the water use to apply for a verification, and they either then choose not to apply for verification, or if they do apply for verification, the verification application is refused, in which case then the only remaining alternative is to apply for a water use license. And that's it. I really hope this has been helpful, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. If you have joined our membership program, then you will receive an additional video. As mentioned earlier, we interview Mr. Francois Yobert, a former employee of the Department of Water Affairs and Forestry, a gentleman with a wealth of experiential insight into Section 21 water use authorizations. We ask such questions as, which Section 21 water uses apply to an existing lawful water use? Or what would happen if I didn't register? What would happen if I constructed a dam before 1998 and I don't have a permit, etc. If you aren't a member yet, then check out our membership program on Patreon. Otherwise, if you're looking for a consultant to help you with the once-off project, you are welcome to visit our website. Check out our previous video over here. We explain environmental audit protocols implementable by both auditors and the holders of environmental authorization. Next video, we look at the appeal process, critical for INAPs who don't agree or disagree with the decision taken by a competent authority to issue an environmental authorization. Otherwise, subscribe, click on the bell notification icon, like the video if you want to help spread the message. Thank you so much. Keep strong, and God bless.